Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seed of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. Hi, everyone. It's time to look at the astrology of the week ahead. That will be the astrology for April 9th, which is today, actually, to April 15th. And we're just going to go over the major things that are happening in this time period. And some interesting stuff. Of course, yes, last week was an incredibly powerful week. This whole period of time has been incredibly powerful. With, of course, in March, Pluto moving into Aquarius. Also in March, Saturn moving into Pisces, and just some very powerful. Last week, Mercury moving into Taurus, squaring Pluto. Of course, we had at the end of March, we had the, sorry about that, we had the Mercury move into Aries, the Sun move into Aries, that new moon at the first degree of Aries, the world point, a new beginning. And we have coming, not this week that we're going to talk about, but the next week, we have another new moon. That new moon is in, or are we going to talk about that? No, we're not going to talk about that. Actually, I think I am going to talk about it. So this is going to be for the second and the third week of April. I think it's important to talk about that new moon happening because it's also an eclipse. So let's get started. Let me just share my screen with you and we can get started. So I do like to each week go over the numbers and stuff just very briefly for this month. Of course, we're in a 7 universal year. The 7 year is associated with the tarot card, the Chariot. It's associated with the sign of Cancer. What's in Cancer this month? But Mars is in Cancer this month. So we're taking actions on our security. We're taking actions on our feelings. We're taking actions on our children and keeping them safe. We also can look at 7 as being the path where the soul comes into the body, into the personality, we become a vehicle for the soul. The Chariot is the chariot of our body, our Merkaba. And of course, 7 as a universal vibration for the whole year is the seeker of truth. It is the seeker of truth, and it is mental, analytical, focused, contemplative, and meditative. It is a intuitive number. 7 is an intuitive number, and it is the number of the thinker, the intellectual, the abstract thinker. And the mantra for 7 is know thyself. 4, of course, 4 is the month that we're in. We're in April. The vibration of 4 vibrates on the tree of life along the path of the emperor, where we have Chokmah, the divine father, connecting with Tiphareth, the son of God, goddess, all that is. 4 is the most practical of numbers with a sharp eye for details. So it's important to pay attention to the details this month. It is a reliable, punctual, and dependable vibration. So we need to be all those things. We need to be reliable. We need to be on time. We need to be dependable in this month. It is honest, trustworthy, and totally without artifice. That is the 4 vibration. And the emperor speaks of dominion over your environment, dominion over yourself, over your feelings, over your intellect, over your body, right? And then when we add those 2 vibrations together, we get the 11, which is justice, right? Cosmic justice. 11 as a number is highly intuitive. It represents illumination, a channel to the subconscious. Insight without rational thought just comes in the head there. The vibration of sensitivity, shyness, a little bit impractical, perhaps the dreamer, but we are to dream the dream this month. We're also here to witness cosmic justice. If we look at the tree of life, the Sephiroth and the paths that are activated by the numbers, we have the paths activated by the numbers. 4 here is the path of the Emperor. 7 is the path of the Chariot. The 11-2 is the path of cosmic justice, And we have 4 activated, Hesed, which is generosity. We have 7, which is feelings and emotions, right? This is Venus Sephiroth. This is Jupiter Sephiroth. Venus and Jupiter are the benefics. And we also have the Sephiroth of Saturn and the Sephiroth of Mars activated through this 7 path. This is about taking action on what you want to build. Bina. That's what the whole year is about. What life do you want to build? What do you want to create? And who are you? And we can see this is where the planets are, what signs these planets associated with these Sephiroth are. We see that we have Venus part of the time in Taurus, then it moves into Gemini. That's going to happen this week on the 11th. We have Mercury here starting the month in Aries, moving into Taurus, and that happened just last week, I think, right? That happens on the 3rd. Here is the new moon that we're going to be looking at. The new moon at 30 degrees of Aries. This was the full moon. This was last week. We had the full moon. The moon in Libra, the sun in Aries, conjunct Jupiter and conjunct Chiron. A real good view, full moon, of our wounds. And of course, we also had this week, right around that time, we had of course, previous to that, we had the indictment of Trump. And then we had what went down, the shooting in Nashville, and then what went down in the Nashville State House there. In Wisconsin, we had Wisconsin's Supreme Court flipped from conservative. And then we also had in Michigan, we had Gretchen Whitmer sign a bill for abortion rights in Michigan. And then we also had down in Texas the judge that said that they took the ability of the drug company that makes the second half of the pill abortion, to stop manufacturing for everyone, not just in Texas. So there's a lot of stuff going around, and then add on that the fact that we're still waiting to hear from Jack Smith, and we're still waiting. So we can see all these themes, right? All these themes of justice and the like. Okay, so let's continue here. These are the activated chakras, week 1. Okay, so week 1. This was the Sun Chiron conjunction on the 5th. That was after Trump went into went into New York. The full moon. So let's look at week 2. This is where we're at. On the 11th, which is Tuesday, which incidentally vibrates to a 22-4, we have Venus making an ingress into Gemini. And on the same day, a waxing trine between Venus and Pluto. Venus moves into Gemini. Pluto had just moved into Aquarius. So we have this waxing trine between Venus and Pluto in air, Gemini and Aquarius. The power of the people, the voice of the people. What is important to the people? this particular trine between Venus and Pluto started the synodic cycle that represents the development of our values, Pluto, Venus, the transformation of our values, Pluto, Venus, the power of the feminine, Pluto, Venus. We have this creative self-expressive trine that we're having now that's connected to the January 1st conjunction, which occurred at 28 degrees of Capricorn. The Sabian symbol for 28 degrees of Capricorn is a large aviary. This speaks of many different types of birds all in a space, and getting used to the sounds and the voices of each individual bird, and yet also taking into consideration the sound of all of it together, right? With an eye towards unity and diversity, right? Our unity is diverse and becomes greater and stronger through an acceptance of our differences, and an acceptance of our as not really all that different when it comes down to it, or when it comes up to it. We are not different. We are souls having a human experience, are we not? That particular conjunction was conjunct the Pluto of the United States as Pluto goes through its Pluto return. Part of its Pluto return was taking the rights of women away, right? Women away from the body autonomy. Okay, so we also have on the same day, so the 11th is a big day, and it does vibrate to a 22-4, which is the Fool card. We also have Jupiter and the Sun make a conjunction. Jupiter and the Sun are the two largest bodies in the solar system. When they come together, sometimes we can see over-optimism or we can see arrogance. We will probably see both of those things this week. And it occurs at 22 degrees of Aries. The Sabian symbol is the gate to the garden of all fulfilled desires. That is a powerful symbol for a powerful thing. But of course, remember, when you're dealing with Jupiter and the Sun, you can convince yourself of a lot of things that may or may not be capable of doing. But let's take a look and continue and see. So this is Venus's ingress into Gemini. Here she is, ingressing into Gemini. When that happens, Venus and Mercury are actually in mutual reception, because Mercury is here in the sign of Taurus, and Taurus is ruled by Venus. Mutual reception means that there is, even if they're not necessarily aspected to each other, like with a trine or a sextile, there is a flow of energy. There is a sharing of their energy. And Venus in Gemini is a loving mind, and Mercury in Taurus is maybe the earth speaking to us, right? Earth speaking to us. So the first degree of Venus, the first degree of Gemini, is a glass bottom boat reveals an undersea wonders, the revelation of unconscious energies and submerged psychic structures. Now we look at Mercury here because Mercury rules Gemini, and so it has influence. Where is Mercury? As I said, it's a mutual reception in Taurus, and it's at 11 degrees of Taurus, and the Sabian symbol here is a woman watering flowers in her garden. The development of the powers of the mind on which ego conscious is based, cultivation. This is asking us, what are you cultivating? What are you growing in your garden? Are you nurturing the ideas and the seed thoughts based on what you value, what's important to you? Are you growing that? That is what you need to grow. It doesn't matter what Donald Trump does. It doesn't matter. It does, but to you personally, where are you best going to put your energy? What is it that you need to attend to? And it may be fighting against. If you're Fani Willis, you're definitely doing that, right? You're definitely going, you're dealing with the whole Trump thing. So, but if an assault weapons ban is where you want to put your energy, then that's where you need to put your energy, whatever is most important to you. It is time for us to focus ourselves. And if your own creative endeavors, if your own ability to express yourself and be yourself and shine your light and bring your spirit closer to planet Earth is going to light the way for all those people who are afraid and in the dark. And so it's so very, very important. And we can see that with this. The fool takes the step off into the abyss, not foolishly, but that little thing, that little bag he carries is all that has come before, all the experiences that have come before, that it's going to take you to move through this time, right? We also have the Venus waxing trine to Pluto. We can see that here. Where's Pluto? This happens actually a little later, so it's not going to be exact, but here we go. 0015, there's Venus. So Venus gets to 15 minutes here, and she'll make that trine to Pluto. And we're connecting the 11th house, right? The Aquarius energy, which is group, to the 3rd house, which is communication. This is media. We need to communicate to our tribes. We need to connect with our tribes and do what we do as a tribe. And all this metaphysical, astrological, Kabbalistic, whatever it is that you're doing with your groups, it's about shining the light. It's about coming together to shine the light. Okay. And then we also have the conjunction of Jupiter and the moon and the sun. I'm sorry, Jupiter and the sun. Illumination and expansion at 22 degrees of Aries, the gate to the garden of all fulfilled desires. You notice all these symbols are connected to nature, right? Gardens and flowers. The abundance made possible by human togetherness and cooperation. We're being asked to work together. We have to get over these piddly poo-poos things and work together to bring in light. That's what's happening in the Ukraine. That's what's happening in America. That is what's happening in as indigenous people here, their voice are being heard. It's happening in Iran, where the youth are coming out against oppression. With all the suppression and power over dynamics that we see happening in places like India with Modi and Netanyahu in Israel, and what's happening to the poor Palestinians. I mean, it is just so obvious. And at some point we have to say, no, stop. No, we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to fight each other, because if we want to survive, we have to work together. And that's not just for the country, that's also for the world. Okay, let's see. Let me go back to that just a second. I want to make sure I said everything. Yeah, I did not. So we have the gate to the garden, the gate to the garden of all fulfilled desires. The potential, the possibility. This conjunction is all about power and potentiality. But Aries is ruled by Mars. And what is Mars doing? Oh, well, Mars is down here in Cancer. Remember I said Mars is in Cancer this month. And we have here the Sabian symbol for Mars, which is at 9 degrees of Cancer. A small naked girl bends over a pond trying to catch a fish. The first naive quest for knowledge and the ever elusive understanding of life. Purity and understanding. Purity and understanding. This is the child within. This is the child within us that is not understood, right? That is not valued. I mean, in America, we're allowing people anybody who wants to come in and just shoot up our elementary schools with AR-15s. it's beyond the pale. It's crazy. It's just, we're killing our own children, and then we're trying to protect their minds by banning books. Oh, sorry. If we want to get into the kingdom of heaven, we must become like the child. Become like the child. That is in the Bible. It's about being childlike and stopping all this crazy ass trying to control each other stuff. Control yourself. That's the only power you have anyway. Ay, ay, ay. All right. Let's look at Friday the 14th. We have a square between Venus and Saturn. Here's Saturn up here in Pisces. Venus now is in Gemini. They're squaring each other. This is part of the cycle that began when they made their conjunction on the 22nd of January at 25 degrees of Aquarius. So this was the seed planted at that time, a butterfly with its right wing more perfectly formed, the capacity to develop the rational and fully conscious aspect of the mind ahead of normal evolution, transmutation of emotional energies. That particular vibration of that day is this, the Four of Wands. That's here in Hesed. Four of Wands is located here. We have Jupiter in Aries. Remember, we just had a Jupiter Chiron conjunction in Aries and a Sun Chiron conjunction in Aries. These are powerful times of healing. But sometimes in order to heal the wound has to show itself. And so we're going to have these eruptions of wounds that come up for us to have to deal with. Now, we all deal with them in different ways. Some of us send light, some of us send money, some of us protest, some of us talk to our friends, some of us cry. But we're all doing something. This particular vibration of this day is the Knight of Wands. This is taking your spirituality on the road. This is the night that goes on the adventure. This is also the night that goes on an adventure because of something he believes. Something he believes. But the square is a crisis. And the crisis is a crisis in action. What action are you going to take? Now we're dealing with Saturn. So it's going to be hard. Saturn's always hard. Venus with Saturn is often not a whole lot of fun. But if you can sort of delay gratification with this kind of energy, you can actually build something that's quite profound. So let's take a look. Here is the chart of the square that I'm talking about. Here's Venus at 5 degrees of Gemini. Here's Pluto at Saturn at 5 degrees of Pisces. We know the initial symbol, right, that happened in January on the 22nd. Incidentally, 22 is a master number. But now Venus has moved on to Gemini, and Saturn actually has moved on to Pisces. So what is that about? Well, let's look. We have Venus here at 5 of Gemini, a revolutionary magazine asking for action. You can't make this stuff up, I'm telling you guys. The explosive tendency of repressed feelings and root emotions. Keyword, to reach beyond established forms. Explosive tendencies of repressed feelings and root emotions. The root emotion of fear, perhaps. The root emotion of fear. Square, Saturn and Pisces, a church bazaar. The value of giving a spiritual or transcendent sanction to even the most commonplace interchange between social persons and individual minds. The keyword is ritualized beneficence. It stresses the possibility of the presence of God, even in the most material human activities. Everything you do counts. Everything you do, no matter how mundane. If it's bringing peace to your heart and your mind, you are creating peace. And for some people, that's cleaning out a closet. For other people, it's holding Donald Trump accountable for his misdeeds. It doesn't. Everything counts, and so we need to foster that sense of fulfillment and peace, and in whatever way we have to do that. And sometimes it's in really small ways, and other times it's in big ways, but yet we need to align. And those who are doing the big ways, like the Fonnie Willises of the world, or the Alvin Braggs, or Justin and Justin, the Justins, which means righteous and just, right? Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, I think. And the woman there, Gloria Johnson, they're all doing their part, but they have people, they have more people. They're the voice of the people, right? And you may not be the voice of the people, but you could be the voice of your heart. You could be the voice of what you know, what you share, what gift do you have? That's your voice. Share it. Share it with as many people as you can, because it changes the vibration. And we need all the help we can get, because we do have some pretty intense things ahead of us. And you might say, well, wait a minute. I just thought we had a bunch of intense stuff. Oh yeah, that's there. That's all pushing forward too. That's all the prelude, right? That's all the prelude to the crescendo, to the music that we're making. So let's look at the next week 3. The only thing we're going to look at this week is the new moon. And we're only going to look at well, we also have a square between Pluto and the sun, so we can kind of look at that when we look at the new moon. But the new moon is a solar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse. Oops, sorry, let me go back. The new moon at 30 degrees of Aries, a north node solar eclipse, getting propelled into the unknown future. That's what the north node eclipses do, right? Sabian symbol, a duck pond and its brood. The realization of natural boundaries. Why? How about that? The rules, perhaps. What is shown here, and this is from Dane Rudger's The Sabian Symbols and Astrological Mandala. Which I do have here, maybe? Yes. So you can take a look at the book. I show this every time, right? Well loved. Like my numerology books, pages are falling out. So this is what Dane says, who incidentally was an Aries. What is shown here is that every form of activity has its limits, and that even the consciousness that has been able to get a glimpse of universal order has to bring down to its own karmic field of operation the message of harmony it has heard inwardly. Peace and inner contentment with one's essential destiny or dharma is required to meet the everyday world. You can't make this stuff up, man, I'm telling you. The mystic may experience flights of imagination and transcendent visions, but he must return to the concrete earth and to his task in his social environment. Shine your light where you are. It's time. Here's the chart. We look at this duck pond. The key word, the power must accept the principle of focalization. If you want to truly be powerful, you have to focus that power. And where are you going to focus it? Right? So the ruler of Aries, okay, is Mars, right? So we're going to look at Mars again. And where's Mars? Still in Cancer, guys, but at a different degree. Mars is now at 14 degrees of Cancer. it says a very old man facing a vast dark space to the northeast. Fulfillment in transcending and changeless wisdom. This symbol describes the wise old man, an archetypical figure found in all systems of symbolism. In occult terminology, the northeast is the direction from which spiritual cosmic forces enter the earth sphere. My desk here faces the northeast, by the way. Just thought I'd mention that. The wise old man faces the changeless reality, the true north, which for us is located in the northeast direction. He faces the great void that appears, that apparent darkness, which is the intense light invisible to our senses. That is the light that shines within Bina. Bina, Saturn in Pisces. Bina activated by the 7th path of the 7 universal year, connecting Saturn to Mars. It's no wonder that when Trump got indicted, Saturn and Mars were making their last and final trine that started back in October, and then we had it again in November. At that time, it was in Aquarius and Gemini, and now it moves into Pisces. Saturn moves into Pisces. Mars moves into Cancer, and they make that last trine, and it sweeps right through. The energy is the sweep. You're feeling the wave, along with Pluto, right, coming into Aquarius. So there's just so much stuff, man. It's like amazing. I'm honored to be here to share it with you. It's so exciting. The key word here is permanence in truth. What is true is true. We are one. There is diversity in our unity and unity in our diversity. And when we love the self, Aries, we love the other. Anything that we have issue with another person, with another way of being, with another color, with another belief system, is something that we ourselves, in ourselves, are fighting. And a lot of people are in fear. And there's reasons to be fearful. So what is going to help people in fear? More guns, more reasons to be fearful? No, love. Love. This is the path of the solar eclipse. So we're not going to see it here in America, where I live, but you can see it in Australia. It looks like Indonesia is getting hit. It's a powerful degree, that last degree of Aries, where it goes into Taurus. This is an area of the world that is highly active seismically. So it's possible that we might see something like that. In October, we have another eclipse, an annular eclipse. And it actually does go over the United States, sort of like this. That is going to be very interesting. And then in 2024, we have another eclipse. I think it's 2024, that goes like this. And then we had the 2017 eclipse that went like this. So the United States is definitely a focus over the next few years. But right now, it's our people down under that have this eclipse going over them. So just to be aware of that. It also, we're looking at Korea here, right? And or is this Korea? No, that's Korea, right? Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I can't tell. Well, I know that's Japan. This is China. No, I think the Korean Peninsula is down here. So we're looking at, you know, we're going to hear some stuff from that area of the world. So be forewarned, or warned, I guess. I don't know how I would arm you. Alrighty. So let's go back to stopping the share here. So hopefully that gave you some insight into the coming week. I'm gonna do is probably something else with the eclipses. I don't know. I'll see if I can have the time for that. But I hope you enjoyed that. Please like and subscribe. If you want to check out, I have a series that's being every week. You're going to get a new part of the series. The Devil's in the Details, the Making That as a Monster of Trump. It's going to go on for a few weeks. And thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you to all my new clients. I love meeting you. You guys are awesome. It's so exciting to see, to meet people that are on the cusp of such amazing transformations. And I know that each one of us in our own way is going to help to bring this wave of it's not even hope. It's a knowing that we can make the difference that needs to be made. And it's time for us to do it. We can't sit down on our asses anymore. And if we can thank anything, we can thank Trump for anything, and we can probably thank him for many things. But one of the major things that he did is he got us off our behinds and into the street. There is a rising. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, what else do I want to say? I think that's it. Oh, I have a podcast. Well, I did a podcast. I don't know if I have a podcast. I'll put a link to that either down below in the descriptor, or I'll put it on my community page. It's just information about me. It's nothing spectacular, but it gives me a little bit of my backstory in case you're wondering, who the heck is this woman? So that's that. And I do have a Patreon page. So if you want to become a patron, I always say that. If you want to become a patron, you're welcome. The link is below. If you would like a reading with me, there's also a link below for that. And I am going to be starting a beginner's astrology class. I know I said I was going to do it like last week, but I think we're going to do it on the week of the eclipse. So I'll let you guys know though, for sure. I promise. I'm so bad at that stuff. I've just been so busy, and I'm not complaining, honestly. I'm so grateful. All right. Take care, everyone. Namaste.